I think I know who the traitor is. The Straw Hats and the Vegapunks are currently trapped in the lava phase, where Vegapunk satellites are being targeted for kill murder. And now we even know that a Vegapunk is responsible for this. But here is a key piece of information that you may not remember. Back in chapter, the one that was a while ago, Rob Lucci mentioned that Cypherpole ships had been disappearing around Egghead Island for 2 months now. So whoever this traitor is, they've been at work for quite a while. And that work is not for the world government, hence why CP0 is still currently being targeted. And in the midst of all of this, Stella has vanished. There is one character who holds the answers to all 3 of these questions. To figure out who the traitor is, we need someone with a motive to kill the satellites, to kill Cypherpole, and to not kill but to make Stella vanish. And again, there is only one character who currently satisfies all of these. And that character is Shaka, the Vegapunk of good, the confidant of Dragon, the leader of the satellites, and the man who, up until now, has been in complete control of this entire situation. I've been going back on Egghead Island chapters because it's such a fascinating and fun arc, and I came across a lot of stuff that makes far too much sense in retrospect. For example, one of the things we've been struggling with in regards to the concept of a traitor is a motive, and I believe that Shaka quite clearly stated his motive in chapter 1071. Our goal is not to fight back, it's to ensure that the Stella escapes. We are the satellites. If we have to sacrifice ourselves, it will be well worth it in service of the Stella's safety. When I first read that, I thought nothing of it, because of course, surely all of the satellites would have a similar view. But this isn't just a one-off situation. Shaka's character is very focused on death and sacrifice, with the other obvious example being Shaka's conversation with Dragon. Being a genius means being able to see even what your own future contains. I suspect my death is imminent, which makes Shaka out to be a pretty incredibly smart man, to be able to see so far ahead into the alleged tragic future. But what if this was less of a genius crystal ball of science and more a statement of plan? Shaka predicted his death because he is planning for it. Also, this video is sponsored by Loot Boy, who we've partnered with to create a special Grand Line Review Premium Pack full of awesome One Piece prizes. Featuring over 15 million registered users worldwide and a 4.6 star rating on Google Play, Loot Boy is available for free download on Android, iOS, App Gallery, or even PC. Now, there are 2 ways to open premium packs. You know, you've got your dollars, you got your pounds, you got your euros, whatever you use, you can use that. But there's also diamonds, which allow you to open packs for free. And what we're gonna do is open a bunch of Grand Line Review Premium Packs, and bam! That right there is 1 month of free Crunchyroll Premium. Plus I got a whole ton of other cool stuff, including full PC games. However, within the Grand Line Review Premium Packs, you can also crack up to 12 months of Crunchyroll for free, the new One Piece Odyssey game, and the first 4 manga box sets that cover everything from East Blue all the way to the Reverie. Plus, with Loot Boy's free new Chat Radar feature, you'll find new friends and new gaming teammates in easy and fun ways, because Chat Radar automatically matches you to other gamers who share your interests and tastes in gaming, thus doing all of the hard work and you doing all of the not that. And for each pack opened, a diamond is added to the jackpot, the entirety of which is awarded to one lucky player each week. You can check out the link to Loot Boy in the video description, and using the code Grand Line Review within the app gives you a community pack with diamonds, loot coins, and much more. So do that thing, but for now it's back to you. Me? Shaka predicted his death because he is planning for it, as well as the deaths of each satellite. Because for reasons currently unknown to us, Shaka sees it as necessary for all of the satellites to die in order to ensure the safety of Stella. It's a philosophy that's also reflected in Sentomaru's orders to the Pacifista. Make sure your creator gets off this island. Just like the Pacifista, I think that Shaka would do anything, absolutely anything, to make sure that Stella escapes, including implementing a, how shall we say, non-consensual sacrifice plan, also known as murder, which I find interesting because Shaka's vision of the future stands in direct contrast to Stella's, who quite specifically asked for 7 spots aboard the Thousand Sunny, 8 if you include Stussy, which gives us almost as many Vegapunkos as we have Straw Hats. But this is where things get real interesting, because what we're going to do is replay the entire scenario, assuming that this is all part of Shaka's plan. For some time now, Shaka has known that the world government will betray Vegapunk, and in order to assist Stella's not death, his life, his living, Shaka has been very sneakily erasing Cypherpole ships that visit the island, basically cutting the world government off from having any information about their operation. Upon the arrival of the Straw Hats, Shaka sees an opportunity that will not come again. He halts Lilith's attack and invites the crew in, formulating Stella's escape plan right then and there. And of course, with this in mind, he then delivers delivers the news to Dragon that he is probably going to die. When confronted by Lilith, Shaka delivers the speech I said earlier in the video about how if the satellites have to sacrifice themselves, then that is the thing it is that needs to be done, alluding to a scenario that only Shaka has had the foresight to envision. It involves killing all 6 satellites, including himself, as well as making Stella vanish, thus making sure that there won't be any pursuit of Vegapunk after these events. As a necessary element of this plan, Shaka compromises the Labosphere defenses and invites CP0 inside, the purpose of which would either be to recruit Stussy or have CP0 witness the death of the satellites, as well as the disappearance of Stella, and report back to the world government and have them go, okay, cool, we're not gonna do anything. But also as a bit of a clever ruse to create some chaos. Because by inviting CP0 in, we also have the lab attacked by the Seraphim. And while everyone's attention was dedicated to averting that crisis, in the meantime, this is exactly the moment when Stella disappeared. I don't know how, but this was the perfect opportunity to make someone vanish. It's classic magic, you know, I draw your attention over here and you can't see what I'm doing over there or under the table. You can never see what I'm doing under the table. I will never show you. In fact, I can't believe I even told people that there was a table. But again, I don't know how this happened. Stella could have been captured, he could have been teleported, all sorts of wacky science crap could have happened. The point is, to everyone watching, he's been snapped out of existence. But to Shaka, he's been squirreled away in some form of safety. It is at this point that we discover that the Vegapunks have lost control of the Frontier Dome. We don't know why or how, but we are now officially trapped in the labophase. Plus, as a result of the Seraphim attack, the lab has been badly damaged. And so Shaka sends the other 5 satellites to go inspect, and I suppose repair the damage, specifically to the snail cameras. So it was Shaka's idea to split up the satellites. And not only that, but in the very next panel, he receives a call from Pythagoras, who informs Shaka of exactly where in the lab he is, with Shaka then suggesting that Pythagoras go and check another specific location. And wouldn't you know it, Pythagoras is ambushed in the location where Shaka told him to be. Now, to be fair, that could be quite circumstantial, but it is mighty suspicious that Pythagoras got boomed perfectly in the place where Shaka ordered him to be. Now, speaking of, Pythagoras holds a very key clue to our scenario here. However, due to dramatic requirements, he was unable to tell us in the latest chapter. Unfortunate, but let's continue. Shaka then suggests that the Straw Hats split up and assist in the search for Stella, which has now resulted in the individual groups being targeted by the Seraphim, who have in secret been issued a command by a mysterious, perhaps Shaka-shaped Vegapunk. And all the while, Shaka has been quite literally in control. At almost no point has he left the command console. He is both figuratively and literally in command of the situation. In fact, even the other Vegapunks obey his orders. He has the ability, the motive, and the drive to have constructed this Egghead death game, designed to implement a plan of escape that we currently can't quite comprehend the full scope of. I think that Shaka is by far the most suspicious Vegapunk at this point, although this idea does have some holes. One of which is that Shaka got genuinely confused by the cameras being taken out one by one. And as much as this gives him the appearance of innocence, it far from exonerates him, because we could be in a scenario where 2 different parties are acting at once. A good example is Carabo doing all sorts of weird crap on the island for the sake of being a prick. But there is also the issue of physical impossibility. Before I said that Shaka had been basically glued to the command console, and that's true, and well, that's an issue because he can't both do the commanding and explode the Pythagoras. He would need agents of some kind working on his behalf, perhaps clones, perhaps robots, perhaps robot clones, I don't know. And I should say that he was technically attacked by S-Bear and S-Hawk, which seems counterproductive to enacting one's plan. However, if all of the satellites dying is part of the plan, then actually Shaka being attacked is all according to Keikaku. But at this point, I can't see it being the other Vegapunks. I mean, the second most suspicious character is probably Edison, because he was the most recent Vegapunk to take command of the Seraphim, so in theory, his orders shouldn't be able to be overridden. However, I assume that Edison himself would be fully capable of changing those orders. I don't think the command priority works by singular order, I think it works by person. And that might explain why he was so eager to volunteer and go outside to stop the Seraphim, to make sure that he was the first one to get a command in, which would ultimately give him priority to enact all sorts of weird traitorous crap. And I suppose the defense for this would be that Edison was almost blown up by S-Shark and had to be saved by Sanji, but at this point the Seraphim were following the orders of CP0, not the traitor. So in this situation, the traitor could have very easily been a target, which I guess includes Lilith as well. But other than Edison, I really don't know if I can see anyone else having done it, at least not on their own. And actually, just on that, something we haven't considered too much is the idea of multiple traitors. The aspects of Vegapunk are divided in many fun and unique ways. There's a lot of logic versus desire, good versus evil, male and female, or even masked robots and unmasked humanoids. But another quality that splits them right down the middle is values. Half of the Vegapunks hold traditionally good values, whilst the other half have traditionally bad values. To illustrate, we have Shaka the good, Edison the thinker, and Pythagoras the wise. All very sought after qualities in humanity, we greatly encourage the pursuit of all three of these things. Then on the other end of the spectrum, we have Lilith the evil, Atlas the violent, and York the greedy. Three values that society actively disparages because these are not good things to be. But is it weird that I think the bad qualities are by far the least suspicious? Like, we've got evil, violence, and greed, but I find myself believing in those three the most. And maybe it's because each of them are completely emotionally transparent. Their qualities might be undesirable, but at the very least, I always know what Lilith, Atlas, and York are feeling. All three of them are kind of Luffy-like in that way. All of the thinking takes place on the outsides, public thinking. Meanwhile, you've got your more introverted set of Vegapunks who I have a ton of difficulty reading. There's minimal facial expressions and in fact minimal face in general. These dudes might be chock full of all of the good stuff we like, but damn, they're suspicious as crap. And they're the three that I see as being most capable of this kind of complex planning. Lilith, Atlas, and York, I honestly don't think that they plan, I think they just do. So we could be in a bit of a 3v3 situation, where half the Vegapunks are working with us and half the Vegapunks are working against us. But also, it could be none of them. Because more so than ever, I think we should be taking a hard look at Stella. That was an unintentional rhyme. The cover story pages give Stella some interesting and, dare I say, utterly deranged and weird facial expressions. Stuff that presents him as the sort of quintessential mad scientist. You know, the guy who has a genuinely decent goal but goes about it in a very wrong and twisted way. Like another Big Mom style dream of uniting all of the races but doing it in a super dark way. By which I mean uniting them all in her stomach because she ate them all. It's also fascinating that Vegapunk looks so delighted to be meeting the 5 Elder Stars. However, to be fair, this was before the Ohara incident, so he may not have known the full extent of what they're capable of just yet. But I keep going back to the question that Jinbei asked in chapter 1067. The whole, yeah, is it really a good idea for the entire world to have your knowledge? And Stella just replying, well, Jinbei, first son of the sea, that's a very smart question to be asking. But science will never advance if you spend all of your time worrying about it. And you know, we really have yet to explore the negative effects of Vegapunk's work, of which there have been many, but we also have yet to explore the alleged evil that resides within him, because apparently it's there. That's why he has a whole satellite dedicated to it. If it wasn't evil, then she would be called Lilith, Vegapunk of mild mischief. But Stella also has the ability to pull all of this off. The dude can turn invisible and he can travel across the lab in mere seconds according to Frankie, which is something I'd actually forgotten about. I thought it was just invisibility, but it's not just that, it's more things. He can be anywhere at any time, at any opacity, and it's all in the service of his dream of the ideal scientific world. So as much as Shaka is still currently my #1 suspicion, I don't think that we should let Stella off just yet. There's still a lot more of Egghead Island left to play out, with a plethora of secrets left to uncover. But for now, please do let me know who you believe the traitor is in the comments below.